With supermarkets and cheap imports driving down the price of food, Ireland's poultry farmers are under serious threat. This is their year on the land. It is June. A combination of the hot, dry weather and the longer summer evenings is good news for Ireland's chicken farmers because for many of us, today's barbecue meat of choice is chicken. But then, it's also our meat of choice throughout the rest of the year. Fried in breadcrumbs as a nugget, added to a sauce as a chicken tikka masala, served in a sandwich or a salad, or simply roasted, chicken has become our most popular source of protein. Healthy, nutritious and highly versatile. And thanks to the way it's produced, it's also very cheap. Drive through the Irish countryside and you'll see sheds like these. These factory-like barns originated in America, and they're now used throughout the world as the standard method to house and farm commercial chicken.
We do about 140,000 each crop, and we do about 6 crops a year. So you're talking about anything between 750,000 to 1 million birds each year, and that's on a family farm. That's a lot of chickens, and that's the reason why chicken is such an affordable meat.
Allo Mohan is one of Ireland's leading chicken producers, farming with his wife Yvonne and their 3 children in Red Hills, County Cavan.
It's like everybody, you fall into things. I think we roll into things. I'd done the first house and I enjoyed doing it, and I built the next house, and I really enjoy doing projects in it, and I've really thrown myself into anything I do. You know, I don't believe in anything that you do unless you really believe in it, and I really do believe in it. I really believe I can change things.
Allo has 4 houses, each holding 35,000 birds. The carefully controlled environment allows the birds to grow and put on weight at a phenomenal rate. One of Allo's commercial barn-reared chickens will take 42 days, that's just 6 weeks, to reach maturity.
It's a very efficient system. No matter if it's snowing outside or if it's frost or if it's rain, the chickens go on at the same pace, and they're putting on the same amount of weight because everything inside is such a controlled environment. And you're always going to have a set temperature for a set age, a set humidity for a set age, and because all of them things are regulated. People have this vision of wild rolling hills with chickens running around, and that isn't possible because most days it's raining. Other days there's snow, there's wind, it's just not practical for the amount of birds that we eat.
That's thunder. That's thunder. And they're off. Watch the fear, look. Big shower coming.
Ronan Byrne is a poultry farmer from Athenry, County Galway. He advertises his produce on his blog and sells all his birds by word of mouth and at farmers' markets under the name of the Friendly Farmer.
I'm a farmer, and the way I produce food is friendly to the environment, friendly to the animals, and friendly to the consumer. And I suppose I'm kind of friendly myself, if you don't call me too early in the morning.
They absolutely love the iPhone.
The way we raise our chickens here is based on the pasture-raised or pasture-fed model. We raise them in small batches, small colonies of maybe 650 to 700. They're in small sheds like you see there. And the shed is movable, which means that next year that shed, or maybe towards the end of the season, that shed will be moved back up there onto the fresh ground where they get access to fresh grass. It's block grazing of the chicken all the way around the shed. And then the shed gets a break. After a while, then the shed is pulled up there and we start on the new area. So it's all about not overpopulation of the chickens and giving the chicken fresh grass and giving the land a chance to regenerate.
Ronan is a disciple of Joel Salatin, an American libertarian environmentalist who has become something of a high priest to the alternative farming and the local food movements.
I stumbled on him through Google, and he's gone back to the old homestead style farming, where he basically reared his chickens on the pasture method, gives them as much grass as he can. The main thing I took from him anyway is the system kind of, but the way he just produce good food and sell it locally. And at the time it was just the right thing to do for me. It felt like, go on. try and prove that, that there can be sustainable living made from small farms in the west of Ireland, and the whole driving ethos behind it, cut out all the hype about it being this and that, just do good food and sell it locally.
The friendly farmer manages just 3 flocks of birds a year, giving him 2,100 chickens in total. Their outdoor life means they take longer to put on weight, and so will not be slaughtered until they reach 16 weeks. And the increased feed cost on the smaller scale inevitably makes a pasture-fed chicken 3 or 4 times more expensive than a commercial barn-reared one. In comparison, Allo raises almost 1 million chickens a year. Just a few hours ago, his 4 chicken houses were home to 140,000 birds. And in just a few days, they'll be home to 140,000 more.
We had about 17,000 birds here at 1:15. All of them birds are all gone. I'd say at this stage now, about 12,000 have been already processed in the factory, and the rest will be processed in the next number of hours. Tonight we'll start pulling in the hoses and we'll start washing down the houses. In this house here we have roughly 50 tonne of compost, and this will be used for mushroom compost. So it's recycled again and the nutrients are taken out of it to grow mushrooms.
The changeover process removes all traces of the old flock and ensures that the new flock will arrive in clean, sterile conditions.
This is the start of the process or the end of the process, depending on what way you look at it. But the whole cycle starts around again where we have to get everything ready. We get the shavings down and to get the whole meal down under the drinkers where we put paper, getting ready for the day olds, getting the heat back up to 34 degrees, which is hard to imagine when you're standing here this time in the morning with fairly cold noses and with the doors still laying open.
The arrival of the day-olds at Allo's farm is like a military operation. 35,000 birds will be unloaded into each shed as quickly as possible to keep the birds at the right ambient temperature. Preparation for a new flock is a little less sophisticated. He just moves his shed across the field. But before Ronan's chicks can go out to pasture, they'll spend a month in his outhouse.
Day-old chicks they'll be called, but they're two day-old chicks now at this stage. They arrived yesterday. This is the brooder. This is where they come for the first, say, 3 to 4 weeks of their life. They're underneath these, you can see these here, you can kind of call them electric hens, because the main thing they need is heat for the first 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. You can start weaning them off then, off the heat. They have their water, and you have their initial feed. And you have to check them every 3-4 hours at the start to make sure that they're snug and that they're starting to drink. These boys then will go outside after the 4 weeks and out into the larger sheds.
The development of the commercial barn-reared system allowed the separation of egg and meat production, layers of the chickens that lay eggs and broilers of the chickens we eat. Both Allo and Ronan's chickens come from eggs reared from parent stock held in specialist broiler breeder units like this. These chickens' only function in life is to produce the fertilized eggs. The hen's laying capacity is so highly valued that it would make no sense to stop production to allow the hen to look after the eggs. And so the eggs are immediately taken to a specialist hatchery to be incubated. This is the Aniyala hatchery in County Monaghan.
All the eggs come direct from individual farms. If you just have a look here, they're all stamped with their individual individual code. It has IRL 666, which will determine exactly which farm they came from. That's to run the traceability process right through the whole sequence from egg to chick to grower, and then on into the processing plant from there.
If you've eaten any type of fresh Irish chicken, be it conventional or free range, the chances are it will have started its life as an egg in this unit.
On the left here are the smaller type incubators, which have 57,600 eggs in them, and on the right they're double the size, 115,200 eggs per incubator. We have over 1 million eggs in this carder, probably 1.5 million eggs, and this is only one of 4. What you're trying to do is mimic as much as you can what mother hen would do in nature. The mother hen would get up off her eggs and she'd shove them around with her beak. Same thing applies here, otherwise it'll all settle in the bottom of the egg.
Hatching chickens is an exact science. These eggs are incubated at precisely 37.6 degrees, and there's no room for error.
If you're 1 degree above, you'd kill everything in the eggs. They wouldn't come out. And if you're half a degree out, you will have serious effect.
After 18 days incubation, the chickens are moved to another corridor to hatch.
This is the hatchery room. All today's chickens are coming out of this one room for processing. They hatch over a period of about 25 to 30 hours. Yeah. Once you start them incubating all at the same time, yeah. It's very predictable. You can see how they're still wet. That's what you see first when a chick starts to hatch. Just a little break of the shell. And then they come out. There's one that's only just out the egg now. It's very wet. In a day, we're hatching around about 200,000 chickens in total. They've been pulled from the hatchers in their flocks, and they're now being placed onto this belt, which is going up into the processing area from here. Really, all we're doing here is sorting the good chicks from the eggs, so the eggshell then can go on to be disposed of. Here the birds have come in from the take-off area where they were separating them from the eggshells. These people are sexing them. They're determining whether they're male or female for more even growth on the broiler farm. If you grow birds, all the females together and all the males together, you get much more even weights when it comes to the end products for processing. I mean, if you ever go into a supermarket, you'll see that you would have all maybe 1,800 gram chickens or 1,500 gram chickens. It allows them to grow the birds to a much tighter band, so they're not giving away weight in the supermarket. That's the purpose of it. The birds are running down these belts here, and this little blue box is a laser which is counting them as they pass.
As August draws to a close, 140,000 of these day-old chicks are starting their short lives indoors on Allow's farm, and another 700 will be heading to Athenry. What will make Allow and Roland's chickens different is not how they're hatched, but how they're reared. The autumn sun lies low over the fields of Athenry, and Roland's turkeys are fattening up well for Christmas.
When they're inside, they go in, they eat, they drink their water, they sleep, and then first thing in the morning, they're mad to go out. You open the door and off out they go. And like as you can see, they're happy out running around the place, getting all their lovely exercise and playing with the stick wherever it's gone. There it is.
Roland's turkeys joined the farm as day-olds back in the spring.
I'll have these birds for 7 months in total, give or take a week. They'll be looked after 7 days a week, morning and evening, let in, let out, fed. I will get them ready for slaughter then, and the whole marketing and the sales be taking orders for about a month beforehand. I hope, if I'm lucky, to hold on to €15 per bird. That'd be doing very, very well. So that tots up to €7,500 for 7 months' work.
7 days a week.
It may seem idyllic, but these turkeys will only be worth something to Ronan when they're dead. Until then, they're just a cost. Luckily, Christmas isn't too far away.
It's all geared up to the one day. It is a week of intensive work to make sure they're ready and that they're back and for delivery, but you start off, there's 3 weeks of intensive work at the start when you're getting them going, and then the stages up along, but it is geared up to one big day.
Until then, the turkeys will continue to enjoy the fresh air.
So on a lovely sunny day like today, they're absolutely delighted to be out, running around and eating the fresh grass and pecking for grit and worms. It really is, they couldn't have a better life.
In Alo's farm, the chickens will never feel the autumn sun on their backs, but nor will they feel the cold or the rain. The system is designed to cater for the birds' every need, and for Alo, welfare is at the top of the agenda.
Well, this industry has been forced to go that way because there was so many scare tactics and there's so many talk about the poultry industry. They kind of probably raised their bar a lot above a lot of other meats, you know, for the whole traceability, for the welfare standards. That's not a bad thing because we've got a better product on our shelves because, you know, there are certain people have asked questions because they keep coming back to the point that we're dealing with living creatures and we should be improving their lives all the time. And you can see the feed comes into these areas here. When they get a little bit bigger, we lift these feeders up and the meal comes from underneath, but they have unfeathered access to meal at all times. If you see the water, it's in a 360-degree nipple, and if you tap it here, it just leaves a wee bulbous of water, and they just come over and drink this here. So what they're doing is getting a clean, fresh piece of water at all times, and it doesn't contaminate any other bird, just in case they ever had anything. So that's what you're getting each time.
Welfare is important not just for the birds, but for the bottom line. The economic pressures on a farmer like Alo are substantial. Chicken houses take a big investment.
This is our full-time income. Myself, my wife and 3 children are dependent on that. And we work on this full-time, so there's about 1.3 million invested in here since 1994. So it's everything to us. We put up our land as collateral to put up these houses, and we're only as good as our last crop. So if anything happens here, you know, it's a big blow. You know, you're not talking about big companies, you're talking about husband-wife teams working at this here. You know, it's a big risk.
Commercial chicken production is a capital-intensive and logistically complex business. A commercial farmer like Alo, therefore, has to have a unique relationship with his processor in order to survive.
Alo's birds will be fasted the previous night. They will be taken in here the following morning, and by the following morning, 9 o'clock, they'll be on the supermarket shelf.
Vincent Carton of Carton Brothers is Ireland's leading chicken processor.
Chicken has only a 7-day shelf life, which means from the day it's killed to the best before day is 7 days later. And so we're trying to get that product as fresh as we can to the consumer. And this is the most efficient system possible to do that.
It is a system that allows Vincent to process 160,000 birds a day at a peak capacity of 12,000 chickens an hour.
Different supermarkets order different sized chickens. And so what we do, as you can appreciate, we buy flocks from the farmer, but we now sell individual sizes out to the supermarkets. And that's what we do here. We allocate out, based on the orders we've received from the supermarkets, caterers, wherever, we now allocate the sizes back out to those products that the customers have ordered.
Chicken is sold in 3 forms: fresh, frozen and processed.
There are 3.5–4 million birds a week consumed in Ireland. 70% of that is fillet. So the leg isn't consumed here, but the fillet is. Of that, say, 3.5–4 million, there will be about 80,000 in the form of free range. There will be about 8,000 in the form of corn-fed, and there will be about 3,000 in the form of organic. The remainder, which is a whopping 3.5 million, like 99% of the market, is for standard chicken. This factory has a number of functions. The first and foremost is to produce very efficiently and very cost effectively fillet and whole bird. We also want to produce new ways of eating chicken. And for that, we have a whole value-added section to change the nature of chicken and give people a new way of eating it and different choice.
To produce this much chicken, Allo and Vincent have to work very closely together.
This system is very different to other agricultural production. In most cases, the farmer buys the stock. The farmer feeds the animal and the bedding and also puts his time and husbandry into it. And then there's as it were, a farm gate market where he can sell that product to different factories for processing. Now that's very different from the chicken industry, and the reason is to do with the way it's sold. Chicken is sold into the supermarkets a lot of the time on promotion. So if we don't have the right numbers down, then we won't have the right quantities in place. So for that reason, poultry companies like mine take control of the logistics. The farmer doesn't have to pay for either feed or stock. The processor does that.
It is a symbiotic relationship which benefits both parties. Allo gets access to the market, and Vincent is able to ensure continuity and quality of supply.
We supply our own feed. And what that means is that I'm responsible for the quality of the chicken in the supermarket shelf, but I'm also responsible for the feed. The cost of a chicken leaving a farm is roughly around €2, roughly speaking, of which 36 cents would be the cost of the chick, and just over 160 would be the cost of the feed element.
The average retail price of a commercial chicken is €5.52. The chick costs 35 cents from the hatchery, and the feed will cost €1.60. Allo looks after the bird for 6 weeks, paying the cost of the sheds and heating and lighting, and receives 39 cents per bird. Vincent takes 86 cents to pay for the transport and cost of processing. The retailer receives €2.33. When supermarkets put chicken on discount, the pressure on the processor and farmer to reduce costs is enormous. Decreasing prices inevitably put pressure on safety, but this is an area that cannot be compromised.
The important bit of the feed mill is the fact that feed represents the major area of danger for the food industry. If you think about all the major scares, dioxins in pork last year, you think of BSE, you think of salmonella in chickens, they all came through the feed. Traceability is a core value within this business, and so, for instance, we put the farmer's name on every bird, but in addition to that, we can show you every batch of feed that bird consumed, and we can also show you the raw material ingredients that went in to make the feed that was fed to that bird. And we keep all of those physical samples of those for the life of the bird. So that means, God forbid, there is an issue, we can go back and test a physical sample of what was both produced and delivered to that farmer on a particular day.
Allo and Vincent have an interesting relationship in which neither could survive without the other. Without the farmer, the processor would have no chickens, and without the processor, the chicken farmer would have no way of selling.
The contract that we have with the company is about 6 months, and that's about 3 flocks of chickens, and that's very short term. But so is the contracts that the processor would have with the supermarkets.
We do all of Super Values birds, we do all of Super Quins, we're into Duns, even Tesco. They are supporting us, and the contract that we have with them is literally a handshake, and that's as far as it goes.
Ronan's relationship with his processor is very different. Ronan contracts out the killing and freezing of his birds, but is entirely responsible for everything else. Paying for the chicks, organising their feed and their upkeep, and then marketing and selling them. It creates an enormous workload.
I wouldn't realise there was as much work in it, you know. I thought in my ivory tower behind my laptop, Googling away, that this was a lot easier. Sure, look at it. I have a background in sales, background in, of course you can sell it. But when you marry the two together, the production, the carrying of the buckets and the watering, and then you have to turn around and try and sell it yourself and put the whole chain in place after that. The processing, the storage, the marketing, the delivery, the distribution and the collection of the money, and bring it all back in around again. When you're adding all those things on together, there's a fair bit of work on it, and that was one of the things that has been a bit of a wake up to me. I'm going to have to come down the track at some stage where I start taking an income from it, but at the moment I reinvest everything back into it.
It'll be the perfect life if it made money. But it will, it has to, like, you just keep at it until you find the way of making money and not compromising on what I want to do.
The golden hues of autumn are fading to grey as the weather gets colder and the days get shorter. But inside Allo's ambiently controlled shed, there's no indication that winter is about to begin. Pasture-fed chicken sounds great in the brochure and looks good in the sunshine. But when the weather gets cold and the pasture turns to mud, Ronan begins to question his system.
For the last 2 months, it has been probably the worst weather that has been seen around here. And what has compounded the fact is that it has made so much rain all year long that the water table is so high that the water is just holding. Everybody's suffering. People are suffering, number one, with the floods around the area. Number two, the animals are suffering because it's hard on them. You know, we do our best to look after them well, but you're battling against the elements all the time.
As winter progresses and the temperatures drop, there are no such welfare issues for the new flock that has arrived on Allo's farm in County Cavan.
It was about -7 or -8 last night, so you can imagine the worry last night with the difference from outside and inside of 40 degrees, maybe a little bit more. But they're all in successfully and temperatures are all correct inside.
Be it winter or summer, the commercial chicken is always in the same environment and kept at the same constant temperature.
This house, we're wearing our T-shirts, we feel comfortable. You could sit down and watch, if you had a TV here, you could sit down and watch the TV. Everything is regulated.
But the cold weather does have economic consequences.
There's a big difference in the summer and in the winter. In the summer, we use an awful lot of electricity because we're trying to cool the houses down and the birds are bigger. In the winter, because of the low temperatures, we use an awful lot of gas to heat the houses because we're trying to keep the birds warm. These crops are going to be very hard to see whether they'll make a profit because of the amount of gas that we're using.
Originating from a subspecies of red jungle fowl, first domesticated in southern Asia 10,000 years ago, today's chicken has been selectively bred for fast growth rates, low levels of activity, high breast meat yield, and efficiency at converting feed into body mass, not necessarily the ability to withstand an Irish winter. Both Allo and Ronan's chickens are trademarked and copyrighted entities. The genetic research that produces them is expensive and complex, and as a consequence, just 3 multinational companies effectively control most of the world's supply of broiler chickens, including those raised by Allo and Ronan.
As people want more and more breast meat, what the breeding companies have done is reacted by bringing more breeds that produce more breast meat, and that's primarily jungle fowl. So from 20 years ago, the chicken that is now consumed is a lot more like jungle fowl than it would have been 20 years ago. And this is to give us more and more breast meat that we're looking for as an industry.
These are a very specialised breed. If you compare it to cattle, in cattle end of it you have Friesians and Holstein for milk, Charlie cattle or Aberdeen Angus, you know, which have been really mostly for beef. And these are the beef end of chickens.
Chicken farming may be genetically complex, but there's one area of the poultry business which remains resolutely traditional. A turkey isn't for life, it's for Christmas. In County Donegal, Ronnie Edwards is preparing turkeys in the traditional way to sell in his farm shop. Ronnie has been raising turkeys since he was at school.
The secondary school, everybody had to do a project for their science, and I bought 50 turkeys, day old, and reared them, and discovered there were a few bob in it. So that's 45 years ago.
Unlike chicken, which is eaten all year round, turkey production is geared to just one day. Ronnie's birds are slaughtered in the shed they grew up in.
Naturally reared, the old traditional type turkeys, and they've been laid outside and they never had stress in their life. They haven't been fed for 24 hours, they're fasted. So we just catch them on the ground, hang them up on a rope, break their neck as humanely as possible. We'll take the feathers off them. When they're nice and warm, the feathers come off handy. They're hung up then on racks just to allow them to cool. And then when we have a day's pluck and finish, we transport them into the fridges in the shop. They stay in the fridge then until the day before the customer needs them. We take them out then and clean them out, eviscerate them, take the guts out of them, and bag them up and weigh them. And the customer comes to the shop and collects them out of the fridges. We let them flap for a while to take the power to tire them out a bit before they're hung up. When they're hung up, the neck's broke. They flap now a bit, it's a nerve sticking in. The reason we tire them out is so they don't flap too hard when their neck's broke first. Trying to break their wings if there's too much power in them. So that's it dead now. Get the feathers off as quick as possible before it cools down.
Ronnie's 45 years of experience has informed his views on the best way of producing good food, and he's convinced that this traditional way has advantages over industrial slaughtering.
The way we do it is the traditional, older way. The modern facilities, the modern processing places, take them in the door living, and within an hour, they're in the plastic bag.
Ronnie's turkeys are left to hang for at least 10 days before they're eaten.
This is the fat that's been laid down with the turkey on its lifetime. The fat was laid down to keep heat in the colder conditions, keep them warm. Now when this is killed for a day, that fat hardens up into a solid block, 4 different places here in them. When they hang for a few days, the fat dissolves into the flesh, into the bird. And after a week, 10 days, the fat's disappeared and the bird turns a nice salmony colour and it's matured, ready for the table.
Unlike Ronnie's turkeys, Ronan's birds are slaughtered in a modern processing plant and blast frozen. He sells them all pre-ordered from home on his busiest day of the year.
Today is the 23rd of December and it's turkey and goose distribution day. It's the whole seasonality of food thing. You know, it's a great feeling around the year not to have to do the feeding, not to have to do all the jobs and just prepare, and the buzz of being able to pick up the turkey that you've reared all the way and hand it over to the person, and to know that from start to finish that you know exactly what that turkey ate, where it came from, all the ins and outs of it. So it's a great little buzz to get. 220 people coming to the house. A lot of repeat customers. Great to see the same people coming back every year. There's only a certain amount of planning you can do for it, and then you just kind of organise chaos.
With everyone eating turkey, Vincent's factory will be unusually quiet. But just for one day. By the new year, we'll all be eating chicken again. It is Easter, traditionally a time for chickens and eggs. Ronan Byrne, however, is about to slaughter his ducks.
It's Easter, funnily enough, and it's snowing. But it's a funny time of the year to have snow, so it is.
As a champion of seasonality and a clever marketeer, the friendly farmer is also trying to make Easter a time for duck.
This is my second year doing this now, but I'm trying to make duck a seasonal thing for Easter. It's a slow burner, but there seems to be a good bit more interest than there was last year. A lot of the customers are coming back for it. There would be 180 there, and we would have pre-sold probably 80. There's no major panic in selling the others, because what we do is we blast freeze them and they sell no problem during the year. It's not like the turkey. The turkey is a given at Christmas and the goose is a given, but we're trying to get people around to Easter equals duck.
For the modern commercial farmer, the seasons make no difference, and spring chicken is available all year round.
What we do here now is wind up the drinkers.
We turn down the lights, and we have a forklift that comes in with the module and drawers on it. Once we put the darkness there, the chickens all settle down to the ground, and when we're catching them, they don't move much because they see it as night. There'd be anything from 4 to 6 catchers, depending on the size of the birds. It's roughly, they catch maybe about 5,000 in an hour. I've done that job myself, and I know what it's like, and you really have to be fit to do it. We have catchers that they'll be at the drawers to make sure that they're packed okay, and there's catchers then to remove the birds from the ground into the drawers. When you get them to this stage, you're really on a wee bit of a high, because you have to see a chicken from about 40 grams running around the floor here, to get to this stage, you really are happy to see them heading off. We're family farms. We put an awful lot of dedication into these birds. So when it comes to this stage here, I think you're very proud of what you've done.
Allo's 35,000 birds go straight to the processing factory and make up just a small part of the chickens Vincent will be processing today.
This is what we call the lairage. It's where birds come in live. They come in live on 40-foot trucks. The truck gets weighed on the way in and weighed on the way out, and the difference the farmer gets paid for. This is our live hang-on section. Here we have 14 guys hanging on birds live. We're in blue light here, and the reason for that is that chickens are blind in blue light. To them, this is darkness. And as you can see up here, the birds are incredibly calm.
After they pass through this opening, the birds will be electrocuted and then bled out.
There's a killing line which is approximately a half a kilometre long. There's a evisceration line which will be about 200 metres. And then finally you get to the chill line. It will be about 4.7 kilometres long. So you're talking about something in the region of 5 kilometres long.
See, you remember your corn-fed chicken, your free-range chicken, and the barn-fed chickens all go through the same line. So it doesn't matter which chicken it does. So whether you're squeamish or not, that's the end game there. The only difference is the scale.
After the scalder, where we had the birds in there for about 15 minutes at 51 degrees to loosen the feathers. That's what this is. Here are the birds entering the first plucker after scalding. We're now going to take in 6 stages feathers from different parts of the body. In each of these machines are rubber fingers. When they grab a feather, they just pluck it, and the feathers then fall out the bottom. This is our evisceration room, and here we're taking the innards out of the chicken. The first section, we cut a circle around the anus, then we split up from there up to the rib cage, and finally we have a scoop that goes in and takes out the inner pack, which is put onto a little tray in front of each bird. Here the Department of Agriculture can see the internal organs of each bird, and if they feel it is not up to scratch, they will condemn it by putting it in here. The birds now come around here and along these 3 machines we're taking out the neck. The final thing is for an inside-outside bird washer, and then they're transferred onto the chill line.
To process here is about 3¼ hours, 3 hours, 20 minutes, of which 2 3/4 to 3 hours, depending, is for chilling and for maturation.
This is the chiller room.
For the scale that I see on our own farm, it's a whole new dimension with the 5 tiers of where the cold air is blowing at the chickens, and also the conveyor belt that has these chickens. And it is mind-blowing even for me, so I can imagine what it's like for somebody that's not in the industry to see something like that. It has to be mind-blowing to them.
The birds are coming down, as you can see, through the ceiling there, and that's from the chiller. The first thing that happens to them is a digital photograph is taken of the bird, and that's our grading system. So the computer now knows the level of damage, if there is any, on the bird. And then the final thing that happens is the computer allocates the work over this entire room so that everybody gets a good level of work, and nobody gets too much, nobody gets too little. After that, the first section that you can see over there, that's our whole bird section, where we take out the whole birds that are required. The birds that are not required for whole up go to cut up. And that's what's happening all along this wall here, where the birds at various stages, different parts of the birds are taken off, until we get to basically nothing.
It's very high tech, it's very hygienic, and it is state of the art. And that is the reason why you have, when you go into your supermarket, that you can have that fantastic traceability. And that is all made possible because of the modern technology, because of the high-tech, science fiction-like processing plants that we have today.
Most of us choose to live in the city and have contracted the supermarkets to provide us with cheap, versatile and safe protein.
For you to get a chicken the price that it is today, what, €3, €4, €5, it has to be on this type of scale. You're not going to have 100 chickens running about and give somebody €300 or €400.
People have got used to having cheap food, so one of the side effects of that is animals have to be produced intensively. You know, it's a fact of life. Like meat used to be the Sunday roast. Like meat has become cheap, therefore it has become common. Therefore, but one time it was the Sunday roast. We didn't eat meat every day of the week. It's like at Christmas, the turkey. It is not so difficult to sell turkeys at Christmas, good quality turkeys, because people make that special effort because it's a special meal. One time every Sunday was a special meal the family used to, and it has, I've noticed it start to kick into that a bit more.
The image that these supermarkets are showing us with the chicken, you know, in a barnyard or something like that, it's not reality.
But the customer wants inexpensive meat. So you put that at the end of the line, start at the customer, work your way all the way back. And the farmer, he should be the most important thing. It's the price that's the most important thing. So the farmer has to get efficiency after efficiency after efficiency after efficiency to ensure that he can deliver a chicken to the retailer that the retailer can sell on and make his profit.
Allo and Ronan's birds come from the same hatchery. Allo's chicken stays indoors but is fresh. Ronan's gets to go outside but is frozen.
Take yourself. When are humans at their happiest? When they're outside, when they're fresh air. If you put a human inside or don't give him much activity or stimulation, he'll put on weight, all right, but will he be happy? So if you reverse that down to all animals, if you put them outside, give them stimulation, give them all what they're used to, lo and behold, you'll have better tasting chicken.
Sadly, it would take 476 Ronans to produce the number of chickens that one Allo does. The logistics of managing and processing 476 farmers would lead to a much higher chicken price, and if all those farmers were to take a wage, the price would be higher again. Ronan's farm works for him, but if we are all to eat chicken, Allo's is the farm of the future.
I won't lower my standards to compete against low standards. If people want a high standard product, if they want to worry about that in the independent assurance with like Board BA for the welfare, if they really want to make sure that the environment's taken care of because this farm is monitored by the EPA, then they'll buy this type of chicken. But if they don't care about the welfare of the animal, and if they don't care about what it's fed, and they don't care about the environment or the cutting down of the forests in Brazil, then yeah, buy those chickens. But if you do care about your environment and do care about your neighbour and having local food, then you will buy Irish chicken.